We are red. Red is on.
All right. Today is Thursday, December 14th, year 2017. Time is for, let's just call it 50. This meeting of the Tilton Board of Selectmen will now come to order. Please let the record show that Pat and Ashley are not here yet, but I'm sure they're on their way. Let us stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's what I said, where's our New Hampshire flag? All right. So, you're going to report back to us on our discussion last week, staffing and whatnot. Do you feel that's a non-public discussion for safety reasons or any personnel, staffing reasons?
You mentioned your names.
Okay, but for the scheduling, is that, I know sometimes scheduling is a safety issue,
I think Pat would call it on that.
but
The sketch.
are we talking about specific officers and specific
No,
set
no, but
schedules, or
I
are
think
we
it's
generalizing?
more numbers and all and times a day.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you're talking about, safety, public safety.
yeah, I mean, you do get into numbers.
Yeah, I would do it non.
Just saying, I like to do as much in public as we can.
Well, you can make things, when you come out of non-public, you can share whatever you,
Yeah, but when people are watching this, I know, they must really hate it when we go into non-public. All right, then, I will make a motion to go into non-public session as per RSA -8:3, 4.
Consideration matters relating to preparation of care of state safety.
I couldn't find it the last time.
State safety, last, or reputation, one or the other.
Do you want to wait
This-
and see if Ashley and Pat show up too, so we have to read over?
Well, it's, 4:45 is non-public. I don't have any minutes.
Do you want to bring Kim back up?
This is confidential.
We can do finance and then Pat next week here.
You all set with that if we delay?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, they're going to want to hear his financial too, right?
Well, the only difference is the financial, we can recap it on video.
No, I'm thinking about our other selectmen.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, they
The
don't-
selectman could recap it on video.
He's going to ask us for decision. You know what? He has a document we have to re-sign.
Give them a 10 minutes.
Oh, Pat just came in? Okay, so do we want him or do we want him?
Well, let's have Tim and give Ashley at least until 5 o'clock to be here.
He'll come up.
Coming up now.
Check and see if there's a message. Matt, what's that? Ashley?
What?
I believe so.
Ashley did the first text running
We'll be a
late,
little late.
and then Pat did the second. Because I saw on the first one, it said everyone's name but Ashley, so that's how I got it quick.
I don't see. Here.
Moline, Illinois. Isn't that John Deere territory?
What's that?
Moline, Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. I recognize that.
Moline?
You run red though, all right, Catherine? You're not green, you're red.
I'm red and blue.
Yeah, that's right.
Then I have a real international. Well, I did have a real international. No, I had an international before Farmwell bought it international. minor person, like affect adverse reputation, any person other than a member of the body. So, okay, that's not it. That's it.
Well,
Don't forget your
Voting
boots.
down? Is that what I understood
Yes, please.
at the table? Okay. All right. So, in your to-be signed folder is a copy of the EMPG grant that you had already signed, but because of the timing of the motion that was done after the grant agreement had been signed, the business office has been hemming and hawing as to whether that would need to be redone. And I suggested, would it just be easier if we re-signed this so that it follows the motion, follows the public hearing, follows the motion, and there's the signed agreement, all date-wise in the proper order? And they said yes. So nothing has changed on it. It's identical to what you signed before, but if you wouldn't mind signing that, it's in your to-be-signed folder. In the 2018 budget presentation last night, there were very few things that came up, and I've noted on here when and where they're going to meet for the next 2 weeks through the end of the year. So next week, they're at the police department, and the 27th, they'll be at Public Works. They had a few questions, looked at outside agencies, discussed the differences between the selectmen and the budget committee on the outside agencies. And then we just reviewed the welfare line and issues of welfare this year. Other than that, there really wasn't anything brought up. This budget that you have dated 12/13 incorporates updated dental figures, but we don't have the final medical in here because it's still open enrollment. So I don't know if you want to re-vote on anything at this point or just wait until next week when we're closed. Closes the 19th, I think, actually, technically, right?
I have to have everything submitted the 19th, so.
Okay. So next week we'll have final figures there, and maybe at that point you may want to.
Did you increase the TCTC?
No, and I was getting to that. So you may recall that the town clerk tax collector requested an additional $400 in her supply line to allow for purchasing the absentee ballots and envelopes.
Can we do that with 2017 money?
I don't know if she can order them now. If she could order them now, yes. I don't know if that's something that she can order. I doubt.
Where does she get them?
Actually, I doubt she could because they would have to be printed already.
The ballots, you mean?
I'm not sure if it's the ballot or
It's just the envelopes.
The envelope.
So, my question is, this $400 certainly isn't for just envelopes. It must be for, are you saying that we have to now print these envelopes that the state used to provide us?
We have to purchase them. The
Right,
state used to
but
provide
The
us.
state used to provide them, and there's a whole bunch of print language on that, and then there's the ballots themselves.
Right.
So, do we have to go out to and have these printed up for us?
We have to. Well,
Or are we just purchasing envelopes?
we are purchasing the proper envelopes, from what I understand, and I think you can only get it from one place. And it's just instead of the state paying for it, we're going to pay for our own.
Only a single source suppliers.
That's the way I
Can't get
Can
it
understand
you
from
it.
like the
find out
prison?
more information, because $400 for
We can,
envelopes is
and
a lot of money.
maybe-
If we get,
Right.
what, 12,
Right.
if that? Maybe 20 in an exciting election?
Well, there'll be three
Absentee
elections.
ballots?
There'll be 3 elections in 2018.
So that might be 60 maximum envelopes. $400 for 60. I mean, $400 seems like a little bit of money to quibble about, but if we quibble about each little amount, it adds
Right.
up.
And I just don't have enough information on
All
it.
right, but let's get more information from her, please.
The other item.
Everybody okay with that, if we wait until next week?
Yep. The other item is in revenues. This has been something that's
been gnawing at me for a little while, and I reviewed it with the chief, and he's fine with it. There's a police
Get
fines.
parking revenue?
There's a police fines revenue line, which essentially this is anything other than parking fines and parking revenue, and anything outside of court fines or court revenue.
They don't want us to see the parking.
Well, no, the parking is actually
What's the difference between police fines and miscellaneous revenue?
miscellaneous revenue has that's got pistol permits, copies of reports, things of that sort. People
And
pay.
what's the police fine?
The police fines are violations against our town ordinances. So there have been 3 during 2017.
Only 3?
Well, no, outside of parking, outside of anything court-related.
No,
Yes.
I heard it the first
Right.
time.
Yeah, so the chief questioned this. I looked into it. I reviewed this with Lisa. Lisa questioned it. She researched it, and that's all we had.
Didn't we separate it so we could track the parking separately?
Originally, we did because we had a parking person that we were paying for, and we were trying to see, what sort of offset revenues do we have for this
Don't we
person
have
that
a
we're
bunch
paying.
of them now, Catherine?
I hope so. Well, minus 1.
Okay, I didn't follow that, but anyway, so my recommendation was to take this more minor line and either wrap it into miscellaneous revenue or parking revenue and just call it, PD, what did I write, fees and fines.
At the end of the year, can we have an account of the revenue, like police fines and miscellaneous revenue, what actually comes in, instead of just saying we got $1,628?
Well, and how would you like to see it broken out? You mean by type of fine or type of, I'm not following what you're saying.
Yeah, yes.
A little bit more detailed
A
is
little
what
bit
she's
more
looking.
detail.
Cats out of a tree, copies of reports.
Yeah, copies, parking,
Littering fine.
littering,
I don't have that detail.
firework violation,
Yeah, I don't have that detail at my level, but the PD does keep that, so we should be able to have that.
at the end of the year.
Yeah, I would think so.
And it's usually, well,
It's on the deposit slip,
I think when
And
we
they-
send
it is-
over
We
the-
asked Lisa to start tracking that now,
No,
so it could be more
we do.
itemized.
She does have it more
So she can pull up the
detailed.
report.
when we send it over for the town report, it's in there.
It is in there, yeah.
It ends up in the town report.
Yep, that's correct.
I'd like to see it before it goes into the town report.
All right,
And
so,
before we make a budget.
I guess the question is, do you want to leave this as it is, or would you be in favor of combining that to consolidate it?
No, I'm not in favor of combining.
Just leave it? Okay. Is that consensus? Just leave it?
I don't have a problem one way or another.
Okay.
That's still too vague for me. I want
So what's the consensus?
it all.
Yeah.
I want all of it. I want to know how many districts, I want to know how many reports, what kind of reports. You know what I mean?
Apparently. It's an extra finger in that month.
Budgeting effort, we need this information prior to
Budgeting,
budgeting. This is after everything's already been decided.
but that's revenue.
Maybe just-
Well,
I'd still like
we
to
can-
know.
And I can make sure that we incorporate that report if you think that's useful for the budget committee to have.
If you guys get like a previous year,
Can't
what you
control
maybe
it.
get Lisa to do, if you're looking for it, say, end of September, get like a 9 month from the previous year and then the current year, so you can also compare that way.
Well, if
Then
we
like
got
a
it
9
twice,
month and
you know,
12 month.
if we got it twice a year, that'd be
Previous.
nice.
Well, and keep in mind the difficulty with any of these revenues, outside of the ones that we know with great certainty, it's very difficult to tell, what sort of fines
It
we're
is
going to
what it
have.
is, yeah.
It's
Right.
based on whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Nefarious activity was taking place.
But it would be nice to see what, in fact, we're collecting. Go back to are we going to combine them or not? I don't have an issue one way or another, and I think you needed a consensus. John said he would like to keep it the way it is.
Right.
It makes no difference to me. It really doesn't. Either way is fine.
The way it is.
Okay, so it's even, so for now, we'll just keep it the way it is, and which is fine. So then, end of year, so we are in a position now where we have money that's been raised and appropriated that could be used for some projects. The most logical of which is the mower that was approved on at your September 7th meeting for purchase that we held off on.
Flail mower,
The flail mower, that's correct.
be specific.
Okay, specifically the flail mower that was.
First read old mower, and, okay, no, this.
Well, that was meant to
I
mean
know.
old item.
Yeah, I got it with the code.
So it was approved, but we were holding off on
Waiting
to
to
see
see, yeah.
how we could pay for that. And so we do have sufficient end-of-year money to be able to pay for that. So that's the first item.
Well, actually, it's not a flail mower. We were trying to discuss that, and there was more information that was coming back, because it was a severe duty brush cutter was $8,500 in place of the $12,900 flail mower that we previously discussed, and we still didn't figure out where the money was going to come from. And the idea is that it would not affect the tax rate or come from the taxpayers, because we had money from the, I'm just looking at
Right,
these minutes.
yep.
So it was, our decision does not seem very clear to me that
From September 7th?
from September 7th, because we still hadn't figured out how we were going to pay for it.
Well, so I can clear that up
Yeah.
now. So we will have monies through the end of this month. I'm estimating we'll have at least, and this is not using all the money that we have available, but we are about 2.4% down in our budget from where we should be at this point in time. And even with the acceleration through the end of the month, I've identified certain lines where I know that we have monies available, and I tallied up about $26,000 as an example, just even from officers' wages.
Do we have a carpeting figure for town hall?
No, I don't believe we do, but at least a current one. So in any event, as I put this down on my report, what was going through my mind was that had been put on hold. In other words, the idea of purchasing that was approved, but we'd have to wait and see, where we could get the money from at that point in time. So, and maybe as you're reading about the type of mower, maybe that's why I'd put mower, because I couldn't, I did not recall whether it was a flail or just that, the other type
Well,
that you mentioned.
there was a lot of questions, and it didn't seem, like we did say that it would, and I'm looking at the minutes, that it would be the cutter for the $8,500.
That's right.
It was a flail mower due to the damages. And I asked at that time, and I asked 2 weeks later, for a list of where it would specifically be used, because it didn't seem like there was enough road areas that we could be using it on for that amount of money. And on top of that, we had issues with what they're going to be cutting with it, the Japanese knotweed, and just that whole
Okay.
utilization of it.
All right.
And we did specifically say that in the minutes that it would not come from, affect the tax rate or the taxpayers. But
Right.
technically it would, because that money would not be applied towards the next year, which would reduce the tax rate.
Well,
It doesn't apply to the next year, it goes into the,
it would go to the unreserved fund balance, which, of course, you could use to purchase down the tax rate if you
that's
wish
never a good
next
idea.
year.
Ask the Belknap County Commission how that went.
Yeah, right,
Was it Pembroke?
right.
No, Pembroke
That was
was, they
an-
just couldn't
that was
keep track of their students.
Yeah, that's another one.
That was
yeah.
revenue
Right,
estimation.
revenue, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the
Well-
thing, it's still open, the information didn't come back, and,
I'm not in favor of the cutter flail mower.
and
Wasn't at the beginning, I'm not now.
we were supposed to get that information back before we purchased it.
Well, and so maybe this is a good opportunity just to make sure prior to the end of the month to get whatever information is needed so that you can, the board can make a final decision on that, either yay or nay, that you do or don't want to go through with it. But regardless, there is money to be able to purchase that this year if you so chose.
Jonathan, point. how many miles of roads we were using on, because Tilton doesn't really have that many miles of roads. We have
13?
more.
Do we have 13?
We have more Class 2 state aid and
Yeah, but you
That's
look
right.
at Cedar in the tree streets, you're not gonna use any of that.
Right.
not in the village.
And on top of that, you're putting on a tracked vehicle, and I've never seen one of those mounted on a tracked vehicle that only travels at a couple miles an hour. You know, they usually put them on a tractor, where the guys can go along and do it.
Well, and
There are other items that are more of a necessity.
well, the purpose for my bringing that forward is just to let you know that there is money available
Yeah.
for it, if you so choose. And I'll make sure that, I let the Public Works Director know.
Do we know the status on the new 550 when it's coming in?
I know that it was down there to be, the body be put on and all that, but I don't know the delivery date. I haven't seen anything. We have not paid for that second portion of it, the body, which would have been nice to do prior to end of year, but regardless, pay for it when it's done. The second item I have there is, and there are three remaining items, two of which are camera equipment related, and then this one, which is the case management software that we had discussed previously. There does seem to be, and I use health as an example, only because it just kind of points out the necessity for having a central place for information. But the fire district, when they do inspections, the health officer when she does inspections, the code enforcement officer when inspections are done, all these things are kind of their own islands of information right now. And we don't have a central place where any software that we use, Avatar comes close in some respects, but we don't have anything that tracks any of this by property and collects information by property. So this is a product that that I had looked at years ago and thought might be useful for us, for our health officer and code enforcement officer prior to our planner being even hired. And then as he's looked at things over the years, this product bubbled up to the top for him, and we've gone through some demos recently with the health officer to go through how that would apply there. But basically it is the benefit to us is the ability to capture by property all the different things that are going on there. So this is also keeping a full record of any documents that are in the property record files, keeping track of any violations, any inspections, and that's across code, fire, health, and it could even apply towards welfare. So and they really don't have anything today. I mean, Avatar provides a lot of functionality, but for assessing services, for tax collection, for clerk and renewal of licenses, there's nothing that we have today that is a package that provides this sort of functionality. So the main reason for having it would be the case management and building permit piece, and as you can see, we had negotiated them down to $2,700 a year and a $500 down payment. But I bring it forward because I don't think that we can do any better from a pricing standpoint. And it's the kind of thing that if we found that it didn't work for us, we can stop it at any point in time. But the planner feels very strongly about it. This would really give us a lot of benefit to the town, and so I bring that forward.
So how's he going to pay for it next year?
Budget for it.
In 2019.
So the total budget next year for it would be how much?
It'd be
with the monthly
$2,700.
27.
So, but what we would do is, and I think I can negotiate some things to carry us all the way through to 2019, beginning of 2019. So I'd go for a 13-month, similar to what I did with Everbridge a while back. I was able to get them to extend a month or two, but we have beat them up pretty well. This was my negotiations with them, and so.
What if we did like a 3-year deal, like you did with one?
Well, right now it's written. If we went forward with this, it's written to not exceed $225 a month for the life of the contract.
Okay.
So there's no increase that would be coming.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that Dari and I have looked at it. We've gone through. I've evaluated some open source things that we could probably adapt one way or another, which gets some functionality in some areas, but the time commitment to be able to implement something like that and then support it, for a long period of time where it really managed the bulk of it for us, I think would be very, very difficult. The other thing is if we ever get beyond what we're inspecting today, if we ever move on to restaurants or other
Which we
inspections,
hope to do, because we'll have income.
we
should do that.
well, we would have good income from that, but we'd also have increased liability, and with increased liability would require greater ability to track and maintain proper records. Not saying that we don't now, but I'm just saying that there'd be an even greater onus on us to be able to have an established process and system that would be available to the person doing those inspections.
I've talked with Dari on this one, and I feel that for the efficiency that it can or will produce for the town, not only in land use, but could possibly in health officer, I think it's worth the money.
So what we would propose is paying for it out of 2017 money. So it wouldn't be in the 2018 budget, and then for 2019 we would budget that in the budget.
Peter, what do you think?
2019.
It's over 1,700, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So are we going to at least look at what else is out there, or are we just going to jump on it?
He if I may answer, he did evaluate an avatar offering, which was I'd have to look at the pricing they sent. It wasn't much different from what we paid for our tax collect clerk. I think it was about $2,800, and that's a per year. But it didn't have the same kind of functionality. It was more building permit focused, and the integration was very tight with the rest of Avatar, of course. But it had much less functionality, and it didn't have the capability of doing any kind of case management or a collection of different individuals into the system. Whereas with this, the fire district would be able to log in and record information about apartments, record information about any of the properties within the town of Tilton that they find an issue with. The same thing could go with any of the garbage complaints, things along those lines. So, but in any case, so that was the second one. There was a third product that that he had looked at. It began with an E. I don't have that handy, but I can get that information for you.
So after you looked at these others, this was the one that had the most use for us?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is what I've found years ago, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's really evolved since then. It's always, I don't like spending any more money than we have to, but we're doing everything manually when it comes to collection of records and information on properties. I mean,
John,
quite
what do you
honestly.
do?
iWorks, IWORQ.
IWORQ?
Yes, yeah, small I. Yeah.
Who else uses it?
There are, I think there are 3 others in the state of New Hampshire. One is Alton, one is Keene, and
I think it's one. Nashua.
Nashua.
I think. So Doris said, I think.
And Dari could get us a list.
Storage, where's the lead information storage?
It's all hosted. It's a hosted system.
They host it,
They host it, but we own the data, and
but it's on their system.
it is.
So, you know, that could cause problems if we want it back, or if it's in a proprietary type file format, and we want to say, we don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
How do we get our information back? How do we retrieve it? And, you know, they could hold it hostage, kind of.
Well, I did bring that up, and that's one of the things I always look out for, is that who owns the data, and then how do we get our data back? It wouldn't be in the same format necessarily, but there are exports, and then there's also the file storage. So in other words, you can attach, if there are 6 apartments in a particular building, you can attach documents that go to either pertain to the building or pertain to the apartments, and all those would be downloadable as well. So it would take some effort to take things off of it, but not a great deal of effort, and I would make sure that that's enumerated in the agreement.
And there's fees for uploading and downloading if you
No.
do a lot of it?
No, and the support costs are included in the monthly fee. They provide a lot of support as well. They're really looking to expand in the state, and
Well, I think any business would want to
Well,
expand, because that's how you
right,
make money.
right. But they actually integrated. One of the other ones also has a very similar setup as us, where they're using Avatar assessing and Avatar products in house, and yet they didn't go with Avatar's building permitting. They went with iWorks.
What's the training for that?
The training is also included.
They come on site and...
No, this is all done remotely. Yeah. And the way I envision this working for us is that we would, in our implementation plan, which I've got a lot of experience with implementation plans over the years, having worked in software for 20 years, that we dedicate some resources, particularly in the land use office. And Dari and I have talked about some ideas there as to how we would start to populate, and there's a lot of things that can be imported, but then there's also other things where we've been collecting information to property record files, but this could all be accessible, and also by permission too, so different users could be permitted to see different things within the system.
You know, the fire district, do they approve of this? Would they do any of the cost sharing? Because they're going to have to enter all of their information for it to be there for us. They're going to have to enter it into it. So they'd have to be on board with this, or they could say, well, we don't want to put it in there because we have...
I don't see a cost sharing, but I do see a information sharing.
But would they actually go and put it into the system for us?
Don't know. We would benefit by the deputy chief, life safety inspector, putting his information in for us.
And that's what we're
But
referring to.
they wouldn't necessarily benefit by it.
But
But
would
we
he
would.
actually do that? Has he said, oh, yeah, I'll do that?
No,
Sure.
he hasn't been asked to.
But he provides a lot of written information currently
He
to the health
already-
officer.
So when we do these inspections, he always forwards his inspection.
So he wouldn't be putting it into it, we'd have to convert it into the type of information that this...
We can always scan it in
So,
and attach it to
Here's
the
what I'm going
file.
with this, is I've seen many problems on this will solve everything, softwares.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that beats when us having our forms and then going and filing them accurately on a file server, in our own server, and having it backed up by ourselves in a format that's commonly used, not proprietary to a software company that's going to charge us so much per year to be able to access that. So if we have a property, every property has its location, and then you have files, list all the inspection reports and all those things. You have a database, and what I mean.
We do that today.
And
We do that today with some minor exceptions, but all the land use related information that's scanned in is kept by property ID, and it's on one of our servers, and it's backed up by another server, and this has been something I've been pushing for years. And we've now got it into an established process, but it's a matter of collecting the data also. So
I'm not
a
100.
file server would
Sorry.
completely do this exact same thing by setting up your file system and doing that.
there's
It's different.
Well, I'm not sold till I saw it.
yeah, no, I understand. Yep.
Because I've created databases for things, and I've
Same.
worked in the industry, and you create
Yep.
databases all the time for
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
And I do not like having our files stored somewhere else that we have to pay to retrieve in a proprietary format, that we would have to find a way to convert back if we decide not to give them the fee every year.
Well, they're not in a proprietary format. I mean, the data is accessible via even CSV files. So,
With your text on there.
yeah, exactly. So it's not in a, and also we're not paying to access it. We're not paying to download it or anything, or to get it off of there. Similar to what we did with Everbridge software, when we went with One Call Now, I did all the data retrieval off of Everbridge, and while we were still licensed with Everbridge, I captured everything, and then I had a program that reformatted everything, and it wasn't that it was in a non-readable manner. It's just it was all in the wrong order.
Yeah,
So I wrote a program to take that and convert it.
Extrapolate it.
Exactly, and just put it in the right format to be able to upload into One Call Now. And so that's the kind of thing that is accessible to us through this. Now, the difference is that there are so many different fields. There are things that they call activities. So an activity can be a violation, it can be an inspection, it can be, oh, sorry, Gail. It could be any number of things, and then documents could be attached to that. So you may end up with, many more fields than something else would use, and you sort of have to pick and choose, what do you want to capture? But it's all by property ID. And, but if it would, again, the reason for talking about this now is that we have this offer through the end of the month, and if there's any way that you could spare a little time to take a look at it, I'm sure Dari could work out a time, and that would go for anyone on the board that would like to see it, that hasn't already seen it.
It just scares me. You got to buy it now before the end of the month, before the end of the year, spend this money and get ourselves into a contract that's going to be pretty much for eternity at whatever rate they do negotiate out. So
Well, so let
I
me just say this. I was very skeptical about this. I don't know when you approached me a month ago as health officer and how I would use it and how it might benefit me. I was finally able to look at a demonstration yesterday, day before, one day this week. I don't know what day. And in the meantime, I have cases that have come in, and I'm trying to find information. I'm trying to find who actually owns the property. Who's the contact for the property? Does anybody have a phone number? Now I go to land use, they don't have that information because it's not information they collect. I go downstairs, look in the property record file, and couldn't find what I needed to find. I talked to Cindy, who tried to look up it on tax bills, couldn't find it. Went back to the meeting room thinking, what am I going to do now? And she said, oh, I've got something. And she finally found it. Now that's, 20, 30 minutes. I'm trying to find this information. If we had this type of system, health officer information, the information that I collect, the designated respondent affidavits, for example, which aren't going anywhere except to a file folder on my desk, and Gail scans them into the system. Those could be part of it. A lot of information there. When Al gives an occupancy permit, it doesn't have, for the health officer, a lot of information I can use. So if you combine all these departments with the information on these properties that they're capturing, it's gonna save time. It would have saved me a lot of time this week, because there were three different situations where I'm trying to collect information that other departments don't normally collect. Most other departments only care about the property on the face. In other words, if it's an LLC, that's the address, that's where I send the bill, not specifically who you get in contact with to say you have to fix the failed septic system or whatever. So if, for health officer, if I could go into a system like this, it would take me minutes instead of half an hour. Then that was just for one case. And I have talked to Daria about, can we capture a little bit more information, especially on the occupancy certificates, of not the name of the property or who own, who's that, but who's the actual merchant in there. It's like today, I've got to inspect the tattoo parlor, and I was like, well, I know who owns the property, but who is the merchant of the tattoo parlor?
Well, and we
And
used
he
to,
finally found
we
it.
used to capture the
thing with
business.
software is it's only going to be as good as the information
That's
that you
correct.
put into it.
That's correct.
If it took you half an hour to get that information, and we have 1,000 properties, you would have 500 hours of work before you would get to the level that you could go in and pop it up. It's be buying the software. If
That's
we're
right.
not collecting any of this data, and we haven't organized it, and nobody is sharing it or filing it properly, it's not going to be there when you pay this $2,700.
I don't
It's all
disagree with you.
filed
Right.
properly. The problem is they don't need to get the information that I do. They don't need it. I need it, but they don't. So if we had this system, and I was entering into my information into this system, it would be there for all. I mean, I do my thing, I have hard files, and I have them in the computer as well. So it's in two places.
It would,
But if you had this general place that everybody could access, and you're pulling in all this information, planning board information, if you've got to look up and find out what variances are attached to a property, heaven forbid, because you may end up down in the basement.
Well,
But if we go forward,
You're still going to have it.
if you go forward and start collecting this information now, then those that come after us will
That's
have
correct.
a much
Yeah, and-
easier time, and they won't have to go into the
And
basement.
If I may say from my professional
say-
experience, you're both right, because there's a big curve to get to where, it's going to be something that is really useful on a daily basis to be able to get the information in. But at the same time, the other aspect of this is there are these processes that you can set up so that things trigger, so that when an activity is triggered, it can already set a reminder, to follow up at a certain date or send out a letter at a certain date. There's all kinds of waterfall processes that you can set up so that you have more of an established path for each activity that you have, and there's less likelihood, not saying it's impossible, but less likelihood of something falling through the cracks, and more likely that it'll be followed up on and properly captured and reported and documented. So I know in the past there have been issues where the board has been frustrated not being able to get proper information on building permits, going back a couple of years. So this
reports, yeah.
reports. So this is something where where it forces the use of a process, if you will, because now this is our process for our building permits and how it works. And so, but I don't disagree with you, John. You're absolutely correct. Thank you.
You need to look at that.
It is a
Yeah, I
it's a
remember
big curve.
4 or 5 years ago that we actually increased hours from part-time employees to full-time employees, and part of it was everything was going to start getting scanned in, digitized. We've sent out requests for better forms, and all those, and they haven't been filled out or done. And, you know, so it's kind of disheartening saying, okay, well, and we also bought software which would combine all the maps and all of the pages. We bought that, I think, 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we paid for that for quite a while, and you know what? Nobody ever used it. It was great. We bought it, and then everybody said, you got to enter all this stuff? They didn't do it. So, and that was expensive. I think that was like almost $10,000.
I don't think it was that much.
We did
Sewer
for
uses
years.
that. Sewer does use that product.
But see, now sewer uses that product.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will sewer use this product?
Certainly could. I guess it would be up to the sewer commissioners to decide, if
You
they're
know,
going to
and
have.
this, like, we got to hurry up and do this because we got 2 weeks left.
Well,
I don't see people
This
buying
has
into
been
it.
discussed for at least a month and a half, 2 months. It's been discussed on and off. But my opinion is, if you take a look at where land use office was to where we have the land use now and the progression that Dari has taken it to that level, and to think that he could, with software, take it to the next level, I'm all in favor of efficiency, particularly if that efficiency is going to connect several departments together, working together, and we don't have to go to one department to get one line of information and then go to another department to get another line of information when they all should have the same information.
And the code enforcement officer can access it in the field.
that's correct. The other thing is, that scanning, John, that you talk about is happening, and it is being collected, and it is being put into parcel ID folders on our network, and then those are being backed up. So we are doing that activity.
Peter, what do you think? Fireworks.
I think it has its benefits.
What?
It has its benefits, because it'll be,
Ashley, do you understand what we're discussing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got some text from Dari.
What do you think?
I'd like to think about it.
Next week?
Absolutely, and I just want to explain too the whole end of year urgency thing, because it does seem a little smarmy at times, but this is the way, if we're negotiating as a town, and we know that this is a calendar year company, which most of them are, you can sometimes push the negotiation that much further at the end of the year and get the best deal because they want to book the revenue this year. So that's why, John. It's not that they've pushed us; it's that we've pushed them.
Is Dari willing to come in and do a presentation of some sort to show the selectmen that aren't familiar with the information?
Oh, I'm sure. Yes.
How would he do a presentation?
Without they do it remotely,
But
but
they do it remotely, that doesn't
he'd talk
matter.
about the benefits to them.
You could put it right on that.
Yep, we sure could.
This document,
Yes,
the first time we signed it, you only wanted 3 signatures on it.
that's correct.
This one has a 4th over here where they want us to print our name and title.
I think that is Ashley's signature on the left.
Right, and it's where we're supposed to print our name and title of subrecipient number 2.
Yes,
And is that okay?
she did.
She didn't do it. Peter didn't do it.
We have a. Do you have the other copy?
No, that's fine, so we just want,
So,
that's what I'm getting, we just want the 3.
fine.
So you want us to duplicate that on the others, or will you fill it in? I guess I'm leaving out the rest
send
of
it back, we can fill it in if you want.
Why, he's just, I know that he said,
Which is
Ashley
fine.
did it correct,
Okay.
so what I'm asking is,
Surprise, surprise.
do you want to do it?
Yes, please. Well,
Or do you want us to do
I
it?
would say go right ahead and do it, but the more importantly, the bottom of each page has to be initialed. So,
In the correct order in which we signed?
no, not in the correct order.
Well, it
But
says subrecipient initials number 1,
oh, okay.
number 2,
Then
number 3.
I did all
Uh,
3,
we-
so I'm good.
I can tell you, we have another copy of this agreement with us, just for this very
I
reason.
just don't want to sign it again.
All right, I think we need to move.
Okay, so just 2 last remaining things. So we've had a lot of discussions about cameras and camera systems, and I put in a call to our company, Mango, to get a better approximation as to the money for town hall and PD. I'll start with PD, which is the last item. We were denied the EMPG grant portion, which was originally part of this, the generator, the console, the radio console, and it had cameras to replace the internal cameras over there, which have been very problematic. Some of those cameras have to be audio cameras, collect audio as well. And there's a real critical need in certain areas. What the grant administrators told me was that we could not use the match money that we had identified for those cameras. It's not that the camera system wasn't eligible for grant money, it's just that we didn't have any match for it. So they said that if we were purchasing, and installing some portion of that those cameras would qualify as match for any camera we would apply for from them. So what I was proposing here was that we look at doing 50% of what we had originally planned, and I had a quote from Mango Systems to be able to do that in the PD, and they really need a professionally installed system. The amount of video that they collect, and video and audio evidence from the jail cells, from the booking area, it really is critical for liability purposes to have a very reliable system. And we've bandaged this system together for years. We had to replace the DVR twice, and all the cabling for this proprietary system is all in these unusual, for lack of a better term, connection boxes, so this thing has been difficult for us. So what I was attempting to do, and I still have to work more with the grant administrator, is to see if I'll get a newer quote from Mango based on the quote they originally gave us, to take the most critical areas, which are the booking, jail cell, lobby, interview room, and evidence room. Take that area plus the network video recorder, and then take that to the grant administrator to see if they thought that would be applicable and that we would have good success. They won't tell us, oh yeah, we'll approve that. We would have to go through the application process, but the idea would be to replace the most critical elements of that system now, with the intention that would apply, that we would be able to apply that money as match money for the EMPG grant to be able to fill out the system to be 100% of what we originally wanted. So that's the idea there. I don't have the specifics on it yet, and I'll come back to the board with that hopefully soon. I traded calls with the principal there today. So, and there is an existing quote that we would have to restructure for that. So that's one item. And if for some reason the grant were denied on that, then I would say, we'd have half of the system in place, and that in 2019 we would, budget for and hopefully, build out the rest of that camera system. In the town hall, right now we're looking at putting additional cameras in for security and for the second floor. And so we can move some existing cameras that we have. They would have to be moved by somebody that can work with the walls and that sort of thing. But those cameras that we're not using on our current system could be moved, and we could make use of that probably for maybe $1,000 worth of material, perhaps, something low cost. Or what I would prefer to do is replicate much of what we have at Riverfront Park, the same type of system. It's a Hikvision NVR network video recorder with power over Ethernet cameras that are also Hikvision, and then put those in place here. So we'd be running off of an IP camera network. We already have 3 exterior on the building that Mango installed, and they've been rock solid. But for all the employees to be able to access one system, we can't make use of 2 different systems easily for security reasons, so that an employee up here can see what's going on, downstairs or outside. You don't want them to have 2 different systems running, and the one system is it's older and the resolution isn't very good. It accomplishes the basics, So it's just a matter of, do we want to move forward and standardize on something that's worked very well for us at Riverfront? And so my proposal would be to take that here and take that also to the PD. So I will work on getting some good numbers for here and for the PD. And what I'd like to do, because John is very familiar with these sort of systems, is to sit down and review with him locations and components and that sort of thing.
Now, the system in Riverfront Park does not have audio,
No, it does not.
but
And
the camera locations proposed here are also in the office areas.
these would not have audio in Town Hall.
So what's in, because you have 7, 8 cameras up here proposed?
No, we would have no more than 9 cameras in Town Hall.
How many up here?
Upstairs? Well, if you count the landing, 3.
Okay, then that's been reduced.
Yes.
When I first thought it was a
Yeah.
lot, I just couldn't figure out why so many,
Well,
and I was hoping that
Yeah.
John would take a look at it.
Yeah,
Well,
And-
just, without the audio, it makes no sense.
well, the only thing that needs audio, the police building needs audio.
Yes.
They're required to have audio in certain areas. So,
Yeah, okay. Is
So
everybody good with Tim's proposal? You bring it back next
I
week?
think you should look at, for other hours and for buzzing people in, some type of system for the back door.
Okay.
Something here along, so it's not left open or anything.
How do you know who you're buzzing in? And if we use it
It's a
as
visual
the,
thing.
if we use it as the handicap ramp, you're gonna have somebody in a wheelchair sitting out there in the rain. Let me in, and the person buzzing them in's in the bathroom, or downstairs, or upstairs. And they're sitting in the rain going, let me in.
The first question was how do you know that they're there, or how do you know who it is? They have systems, and they have it in, I think Alton's using it, Gilmington, because they have a door up to the town hall, if you've been there, I'm sure, downstairs and in the back, it's a handicap entrance, just like what we have, they can't get through the front. People come up there, and they handicap all, hit the button, and it rings or shows up on numerous phones, like the clerk's office, there's one for the clerk, one for the administrator, or Gail, or somebody else. And they can just see who it is, they can buzz them in, or they can talk to them, pick up the phone, talk to them, and they have just a speaker.
Yeah, and
In the meantime, they sit in the rain.
the plan
It
too.
doesn't rain every day, you
The-
know.
Just saying,
Well, the long-term plan here is to also have IP phones, and IP phones would certainly handle that kind of thing, as
it'd be
well.
one thing if they could come into a foyer and then be buzzed into the building. But
Or a covered,
a
or a
handicap
covered
ramp should not be
ramp.
Here's the thing,
left out
is
there.
to make a place secure when there's not a lot of people around, you need to keep the people from coming inside, not take pictures of them once they're inside, because it's too late once they get in the door. So,
But you could have anybody come to the door and buzz. So I could come to the door and buzz. Well, how do you know Catherine Dawson didn't have an emotional breakdown wreck and I'm not packing a gun? But I get buzzed in because they go, look,
Don't answer.
it's Cat. No, I'm just using myself
Just
as
don't
an
answer.
example. I mean, everyday people who we conceive as normal and
Right.
that aren't a threat
Could have a break.
because of events that take
Yeah.
place in your lives could be a threat one day when they're not.
Well, what is normal?
Well, there you go. So that's what I'm saying is if we invest in these kind of systems, I
you
don't
talk
see-
about investing in more cameras to get pictures of the people that are in the building, and the problem is once somebody gets in the building that you don't want, or you can tell, could you please come back when there's other people there, or we're closed, or whatever.
because the camera will also serve us in if we have a break-in.
I think it would serve us better than a flail mower.
Oh, certainly.
You know,
Well,
if you have
just
a
saying.
break-in, if you have,
Put it
even
that
during
way.
a meeting, you have a commotion, we have
Yeah.
somebody attending a meeting that gets out of order, you have it on tape. So there's other ways a camera can protect us, not just to let us know if somebody's in the building and they might pose a threat. But a buzzer at the door, I just don't. I mean, what are you gonna say? Do you have credentials? And if you don't know them, do you let them in? You've never seen these people
What
before?
other towns are doing, and
So,
handicap lamps and all that, that's the way they control security, keep people safe when they're in the building
I
alone.
think it makes a lot of sense.
Don't, you have to have contact with somebody to ask what they want, you can do it. Get their picture, you can talk to them.
Well, it makes sense to me until you can get the elderly and handicapped out of the rain before you make them stand there pushing a buzzer. Anyway, let's move on. That's the
Okay,
discussion.
thanks
for
very much. So
later.
I'll have more information for you next week.
Great.
Thank you. All right, great. We're
You also
coming up.
get a run for the carpet, didn't you?
Well, I'm just thinking, this is the time, we are now at the point where the flooring has to be replaced downstairs. It is a health issue. That we have,
Can we get him down here to do it? The next week?
yes, we could, and we could enter into a contract before the end of the year, if we so choose to.
But are we talking about also installing doors in walls and reconfiguring?
Well, we got an estimate in there.
So that would have to be done carpeting after. If we could get a commitment on a price for carpeting.
No, you could enter into a contract, it doesn't have to be done now, but you sign a contract and thereby spend. money.
Joyce?
Yes,
Can you get an estimate for the replacement of the carpet downstairs before the end of
Next week,
next week?
have them update that estimate. Thank you,
What
Joyce.
part's being, because it's part carpet, part tile, isn't it?
Where the
that
carpet
was
is?
Home Depot. You want, at Home Depot.
It's only tile in the tax collector's area, isn't it? Isn't that the only place that's tile, is the tax collector's area?
Well, that's what the majority want.
In the
right?
lobby.
Thank you, that's-
Yep. Just that small
Carpets
spot
hold
in the
all your
lobby.
germs and crap. Mold, mildew.
Wouldn't be a bad idea to put the main path into tile, all the way to the back door. Have the meeting rooms and offices carpeted.
That's what we had talked about before, but I didn't get it up.
Your heavily trafficked area, if it was tile, would last longer and be much easier to clean properly.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with Joyce getting an estimate for that for next week and taking a look?
Yep.
All right, moving right along. We have a non-public and we have a public meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock.
Non-public's not gonna take 10 minutes.
Well, let's go into non-public now. Roll call vote to go into non-public as per 91A. Matters which if discussed, what is that? C, matters which if discussed in public will likely affect adversely reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself.
Personnel,
Well, let's,
public safety.
there isn't one for public safety. I just looked.
Next to the bottom.
No,
No?
no, I just, are we in, did I get a second on
I
that?
was waiting
Oh.
you to stop and
No, yeah, I stopped.
add.
Roll call vote, please.
Fogg, yes.
St. John, yes.
Constantine, yes.
Dawson, yeah.
Scanlon, yes.
We are red is on, time being 6:15.
At this time, I'd like to open the public meeting to discuss reducing the speed limit on Autumn Drive in Tilton. Public comments will be welcome.
Gotta wait for the public to come up.
I know, I just wanted to get it open because we typically keep it open for an hour. Yeah, that was a good call to check. Chief, would you come up to the table, please, so you're very visible and we're talking about road safety. Did we have a recommended speed limit? I think it was 25, wasn't it? That's what the
Come on in,
connecting
folks.
roads from Samanton are.
Sorry to make you wait.
Thank you, Peter.
Chief made us do it. No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, talking
We're
about
not
road
finished with
safety.
them.
All right, so the proposal that we've been discussing is to reduce the speed limit on Autumn Drive to 25 miles an hour. That's currently 35? Okay. You've had officers out there periodically checking for speeders, and I understand that you have encountered some.
We have, yeah, I know the sergeant told me that they've had some cars clocked in the 40s and upwards of 50.
Okay.
Talk into the mic.
Yeah, we've had some radar activity up there where we've stopped some vehicles, you know, in the 40s and 50s. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it's, I don't think the road's designed for those speeds, and
No.
but we can only enforce what's posted, and it should be posted. And so, you know, talking with the sergeant, he felt that 35 would even be too fast for Autumn Drive. And you had mentioned you'd gotten some complaints, and that's what brought us up there.
Yeah, and I've gone up there a couple of times myself, kind of hung around and looked, and yeah, it's amazing, especially coming down. Especially coming down. When they head down towards Lancaster Hill Road, I was impressed. They were flying. Okay.
Isn't that a class 2?
No, it's a 4, right? It's a town. Well, I won't go into my dialogue,
Okay.
but it is now, it is considered a town road at this time.
Okay.
So what's your feelings on it?
Public, please, input.
Love it knocked down. Because I can go check my mail once in a while without having to dodge, and most times,
We're really scared. You go to check the mail, somebody's calling, you stop us. Now you're scared. Yes.
Our property borders it, and I think 35 is probably too much. Certainly in the winter when you're coming down that hill, and you have to tease into Lancaster Hill, and if it's not been plowed, you're going to slide right through Lancaster Hill Road. And also, since it tees into when it gets up to Grand, Philbrook, Perkins, all of those are fairly soon dirt roads, so that they've got to be reduced down to 25 anyway. So it's not like it would be some reduced speed and then it's higher on either end. So
What is the speed limit on Perkins, 25?
Those roads are 25.
I think so.
That's why the suggestion to 25.
And why not 30 as a residential?
Because the continuity of, as I said, coming down out of Perkins, Graham,
It's 25.
Philbrook is the third one, right? Is 25. You'd be continuing that speed limit instead of going from,
25.
what is Lancaster, 35?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be going from 25 to 30 to 35. There'd be some continuity.
do we still have that fictitious 25 on the roof on Lancaster Hill? It was posted as that, but it's that funny.
Where are you talking about?
I'm talking Tilton, I know this Tilton. Come down Lancaster Hill on Grange Road. That whole area was very congested in there, and they knocked that down to 25 for a long time.
That would have been the state. I would have been
Wouldn't
surprised
have
if they
been
went down to 25.
Grange is
It
25.
was because of
Are
the...
you talking Grange Road?
Yeah.
I believe
Grange
Grange
Road
is
and Lancaster
25.
Hill was 25.
Grange, yeah.
I was giving somebody a hard time on it because they had the big numbered sign out there with the speed limit 35, and yet before it was 25.
Oh, the speed trailer? maybe?
Yeah. And they had it written 35, but the sign itself said 25.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's a manual sign on there.
We all laughed at that, that was ridiculous.
Chief, what do you think of going 225? Do you think that's too slow?
Honestly, I think 25 would be fine for it, and I wouldn't want to see it over 30. So, there's kids, there's children, there's pets, there's all of that there.
There's no shoulders.
Yeah, and it easily could ice up coming down the hill.
A lot of pedestrians on
Yeah, there is a lot of pedestrians. When I went up to look at it, there was a lot of pedestrians. Yeah.
I mean, typically when we do speed surveys, whatever the posted speed is, we'll see an average of 2 to 5 over as an average. So, you know, if you go by that rule of thumb and you post it at 30, you're probably going to see 32, 33, 34 will be an average. So, kind of helps us base the decision.
Do you have an opinion as to the speed limit? Do you feel 25 is too slow? 30, 15?
I traveled it twice today, and I forced myself to do 25, and it felt appropriate.
It did.
Yeah. I know it feels like it's a long straightaway, but bottom line is it's a lot of pedestrians, and the traffic now, since the sports center went in, is just
We know how
it's
that
one
changed.
right after another at certain hours.
We had all last summer off without the sports center, so we know with the traffic being normal is again, and they will. Getting to the meetings they have up there, the parking road, there's not enough room to park lot. That's a lot of cars that are in there on the road.
Right, right.
Selectmen, any comments, questions?
How long of a section are we talking about?
Or not.
.6.
That's-
It's a short road anyway.
Yeah.
Our drive only goes from Lancaster Hill up to
Yeah,
Cran Corner.
Then it's almost straight.
yeah,
It's a shortcut.
yeah, that is, yeah, I've driven up there, I just can't remember exactly how long it was. But yeah, it seems like, a mile to a third of a mile is, to get up to 35 or something, and then slow it back down and just be kind of braking the whole time.
Depends on what you drive. He's got a skater boots up there. Blue, purple, orange.
We haven't caught that one yet, he lives up the road, Will. He could have his butt to it. Catch him yet.
I'm definitely in favor of lowering it. Yeah.
Anybody else have questions or comments?
Ashley?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the map. I mean, I would feel like 30 is sufficient. I don't know what the traffic is other than residents, except for the sports center.
I
Well,
would,
the
I would
hotel
estimate,
facilities
based on
would-
the number of cars that come up and down during the sports game letouts, I would say at least 75% of the traffic on that road is related to that.
To the sports center.
Yes.
To the sports center.
Yes. You can count the number of houses up above there that use it, maybe a few cut over, but the majority of it is the sports center.
I was surprised that
I
when,
own a business on that lot, and I contribute to probably 10 or 12 a day.
That was a little downtown.
I was surprised at one of my trips through there, the number of cars that were passing me as I was going up. I was headed up Cram Road into Sandton. And it didn't dawn on me, I'm like, oh, one of the events must have ended at the sports center and everybody's
They're in a hurry to get where they're going.
leaving. And they were passing me quick.
For the most part, I think the
I did
residents
have
in the area are very respectful of being on that road.
The upper road.
My observation, I can't substantiate it, but
Oh, there's the ones that stop and let us park our boat. Other than that, we're parked on the side of the road for ages to get it, before we get it in the yard.
Okay.
Anything would be much appreciated. Let me put it.
just goes into effect yesterday.
Well, I think anything would, even if we lower it, it's gonna take some enforcement in addition to what we do.
Right.
Take
We still
some
give people
additional
a couple weeks
enforcement
to
up
get
there.
adjusted too.
Yep. And then the minute you start ticketing people,
Right.
the word of mouth will spread in the sports center and our visitors will go, you better go slow.
Right.
And we've been there for too many years. Watched a lot of kids grow up and turn out their first licenses and found out he goes up and will chew butt and they behave themselves from that point. But they're all local kids. They're the ones that've been around the neighborhood all the time. We had one you'd like that. We were going down that road on the highway.
What?
Coming down our road on a
Skateboard.
Oh, skateboard.
What's the level road
We don't
rash?
see it at all.
No.
Ouch.
Yeah.
But
That would be very difficult.
Yeah.
I live at the top of the hill, and as I look uphill, look downhill, and last look uphill, I pull out, and boom, they're right on my rear end.
But
At
they
35
haven't
miles
built
an
up
hour, I can't.
the speed by the time they hit his driveway than they do by the time they get our driveway. we got a dip with the old culvert was that the state said never would bother. It's there. And if they're on the other side of that, you can look down, you can look up and start backing up, and they're there. For a narrow road, it's a busy road.
Is there any more input? Anything else you'd like to tell us about the road that we should know to make our decision with?
Yeah, you ought to post when these events will be around.
Excuse me?
What's that?
I didn't mean to fun.
Yeah, he was
Oh,
picking
okay.
on the chief.
So they always wait when they go by. If we're outside, you get a heck of a crew working for you.
Thank you.
Don't invite him in for coffee, we won't ever see him.
Good point.
See, that we know all the pros and about it. What would the cons be? What would somebody say that the reason why you shouldn't change it? Is there, that's what I'm trying to think of, like, I can't see.
I wish I could have.
You know, maybe that if they go specifically exactly that amount, it's safe, or, I don't know, I'm trying to think of it.
We've got an elderly neighbor across the street, and she plans times she goes out by certain times of the day. She won't go out when there's anything at all going on. If they get something going all weekend, she's locked her house. And she's afraid to get out of her driveway.
Oh.
And she's at the lower end where they pick up speed. We had, 2 or 3 cars go off the end because they got, oh shit, here's a lot. Stop sign. They can't stop. They end up across the street.
That has Captain to go.
To answer to your question,
Doing that.
that street is the last of Tilton. So the only people up above there are Samerton residents, and it just seems to me that.
So people think maybe we'll be using it as a cut through.
It is.
It is. For a
Oh,
lot
it
of
definitely
people
is a
up
through
there.
road from Samerton.
I love these people up there, but they don't want paved roads.
So the repercussions of lowering it, to me, is just, there really aren't any for Tilton residents.
But even the Samerton residents would have been traveling 25 miles an hour if they're following the speed limit on their roads, and they would just be continuing down our, almost a little more than half-mile strip at the same speed that they're used to. Okay.
It's such a short stretch that it's not exactly going to extend anybody's commute.
Right.
Just make it a little safer in our neighborhood.
Would a
Yeah.
speed bump make a difference?
Speed bump would have to come out in the winter, so it only solves the problem for part of the year.
True.
I used to have a good one with that culvert. It used to come up about.
I remember that culvert.
I heard a big crash one day, and I texted somebody them off the road. I lost the tailgate of his truck by hitting that culvert. The thing was flying, and everything was flying.
All right. All right, well, thank you very much for all coming in.
Yes,
Your
thank you.
input was very valuable to
Thank you.
us.
Appreciate it.
Very valuable.
I thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have an unrelated question.
Okay.
The next thing on your agenda is warrant items,
Mhm.
and unrelated to any of this, I had a conversation with Chuck at the Conservation Commission, Chuck Mitchell, and one of the consequences of that conversation is he said that the organization I'm involved with probably should have something either at town meeting or a warrant related to it. Is this session you're about to have related to that? I was gonna work with him.
What the selectmen will do is, we're going to discuss tonight the proposed warrant articles that the selectmen would put in their warrant.
Okay.
If there is something that a resident would like to have in the selectmen's warrant, you can certainly suggest it to the selectmen, or you can have it done by petition.
I think I could chime in on this because I was.
Oh, conservation, yes, John is a
because
member.
Of course, I was there when you came in, and the Lakes Association
Oh, this is
got
moving.
together has actually done a great job in joining together and reorganize, so everybody is involved in it. And we discussed the other night with the selectmen that the amount of milfoil that you mapped out and identified that's in Tilton and a rough value of it, and also your commitment to manage this on an ongoing basis to finally get it under control. Every year in the past, we have been putting in I think, $2,000 to $3,000 into a milfoil fund as a warrant article. However, in the past couple of years, it wasn't utilized. So it would be a decision, if nobody's using the money, then why should we every year have a warrant article to keep building the fund up? So that would come up, that we'll be discussing whether or not we're going to have that warrant article as
For the
selectmen
milfoil?
putting it in for the milfoil, and how much that should be in it.
It
We
is,
recommended $2,000.
it's
which-
here.
Yep, okay.
It's here in our suggested list of warrant articles, $2,000 into the capital reserve fund for milfoil, so it is here.
If you want to tell us why it's so important to do it, what the Lake Association is going to do, like in the
Well, I
future
think,
coming forward.
Now, you're a Silver Lake Association.
No.
No.
You're the Winnisquam.
This is a new organization that was formed in July of last year, and it's for Lake Winnisquam exclusively. So it's not any lake other than Lake Winnisquam. And sort of the 5 communities, we want to work with the 5 communities that border Winnisquam on various issues, water quality, the invasive plants, that would be the milfoil. So we came to the Conservation Commission, told them about our organization. The state has done a survey of the lake and identified the infestations that need to be worked on. And so we've talked to Meredith, Laconia, Belmont, and you folks, where the stuff was identified. And Tilton's Jay's Marina specifically, a rough dollar amount of an initial milfoil application would be in the order of $2,000. And I think what we would subsequently need to do, if it's in your budget then, would be to work either through the town or through the Conservation Commission as to whether funds would funnel through the Winnisquam Watershed Network, that's the name of the nonprofit, or whether we would contract and then the contractor would work with the town directly. Those kinds of things, I think we're not quite sure at the moment, but that's the nature of the request.
Yeah. I think one of the things when we discussed it a few weeks ago, I think you brought it to us right after the meeting, was how to get the Silver Lake people involved in it, because a lot of times when milfoil is harvested or whatever is done to it now, it runs downstream, and Silver Lake is almost vanishing because of the milfoil. And a lot of that has come from the other lakes, so PG,
Same with the
Bogus,
river.
Right, and the river. So we were hoping that the Silver Lake people would follow suit and would be a uniform plan.
Now, how are you removing it?
The sites that this would fund would be herbicide.
And what are the effects on, like, the smelt population?
That's a good question. But
Because that'll affect the salmon and trout populations.
An immediate answer to it. What I expect, or I suspect, that the people who do this, since it will be co-funded by the state, so it's not an amateur operation. In other words, we haven't.
Yeah, but the chemicals, you may want to talk to the Silver Lake Association. They have a vacuum boat.
Well, apparently that is very good for a certain size and concentration of the milk.
I wouldn't know because they don't use it. It's parked on the lake. I live over there. I haven't seen it in operation.
So there are different sites in which divers will be used.
Yeah.
And they kind of they pull it up, vacuum it up. So
And that's when it comes down to Silver Lake and the river.
well,
It depends with your vacuum system.
It still misses.
I think that's one of the things is why it's important to keep funding this, because once you start up there, on the upstream side, now it's time to start working down.
Well, that's what
It's
we're
time
trying to
working
do
down
is
and
let's
going up.
get,
So
this is just indigenous to Winnisquam, where we have a huge problem with Silver Lake.
it is, but
And the
it's
river.
not, it is part of the problem with Silver Lake, is that if it, as you say, it's much.
We inherit it from the Upper Lakes.
Exactly, and if we don't eliminate it from upstream, you won't eliminate it from downstream.
Well, I have to wonder if it'd be so bad in Silver Lake and River if they hadn't attempted. Because it has been trial and error. I talked to the limologist that used to be down at DES. He's passed away now. In fact, I was the one that brought forward the Milfoil Fund years ago by petition warrant article. So I was very involved in it in the very, very beginning. And when I talked to them down there, it is trial and error. They don't have a good way of getting rid of it. And they can't guarantee that it won't flow downriver to the next body of water. So
The difference
it doesn't say we shouldn't do it. It's just saying that we're a long way from doing it.
Doing nothing, you're just choking off more and more
Right.
of the
Right, but it's still a
water body.
problem. Okay, all right, it is one of our warrant articles. And looks like the suggested price is $2,000, so. And thank you for taking that on in Winnisquam at least.
Thank you and the commission.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming.
Help it out.
Have a good night.
Okay, did you take my letter? You sent my letter?
Oh, it's over there.
Do we want to tell you about the speed limit while we're still fresh, or is it later?
Thank you.
Good night. You know what, I'm gonna make a motion to lower the speed limit on Autumn Drive to 25 miles an hour.
Second.
Discussion.
I think I'd like to see 30, just driving that road. I think 30 is appropriate for a residential area.
Our village area is not 30.
I think that road in particular, to me, 30 is appropriate.
It's
I think it's
skinnier than the roads that
Yeah.
we have in the village area.
You got ditches right on the edge of the road, so you got nowhere to go.
There's nowhere for a pedestrian to jump to unless
No,
it's into the
none.
ditch.
Okay.
You know, seeing as the length of the road that it's affected, a quarter mile to a half mile, is that, or a third mile, is that accurate?
166.
Doesn't seem like that much, but, you know, if it was longer, like a mile long, I couldn't see having the whole thing at 25.
No,
And-
this is
And like what Ashley said, when the chief said is, like you said, if you make it 30, people are going to go 30 to 35.
That's right.
So, and we have it at 35, so people going 35 to 40,
Mhm.
and then kind of enjoying the speed, getting off that dirt road and opening it up. So they're doing 50. So the whole thing is going to be, we can call it 25, but we're still going to get the people doing 40, the same people. So it's going to be a big
Exactly.
enforcement.
But they're
thing.
at least
So
gonna
at least do something.
be ticketed. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
If we were to make it, you know, and I'm still tossing up, make it to 30 and force it at 30, that would eliminate the 35s and the 40s and 45s if it was enforced, so.
My thoughts.
But they wouldn't enforce it at 30, I would
I
think.
don't think this will eliminate much. I get that you can enforce it, and now people can be ticketed for that, but I don't think that will change drivers' behavior, and I don't think that,
I think when they started ticketing in the tree district, it changed
A lot.
behavior of the drivers circumventing Route 3.
but that's also an easier area to patrol. You're right in the middle of everything, you can easily leave, I don't want to see all of our law officers up on Autumn Drive.
So you're saying all the patrol should be downtown and screw us over in East Tilton? We get screwed again, Catherine. We're the ugly step-child in town.
I think you're being dramatic. I don't think that's what I said at all. I think that that's not my priority. I think we have to look at the whole town. And I think obviously if they're on the tree streets, they're closer to where the criminal activity is, so it's a little bit easier to be up there.
So is the pedestrian in the tree district more valuable than a pedestrian on a rural road that has no shoulders?
Thickly settled district, I think is what the difference.
Chief.
But if you've got pedestrians, I don't care how many you've got walking there, it sounds like there's more than one or two walking the road.
There's a lot of people that walk through there. A lot of people will walk up that way, up Autumn Drive, and walk down Perkins and Cram in particular.
Yeah.
So if we lower the speed limit to 25, it is gonna take enforcement from your department for people to, number one, I know you do have a warning period and before you ticket, but it's gonna take that for this to have any type of impact whatsoever. Ashley's right. No matter what we lower it to, even if it's 30, if we don't have the police part behind it, it's a waste of our time.
Get the speed trailer up there, make
Well,
sure it has
you-
the right speed limit
have-
on the little trailer.
You certainly
But
can kind of predict the high use times with the events that
that
take
trailer
place.
will
at
tell
the
you, it'll
sports
give you all
center.
that data.
So you could, okay. All right, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries. So you will make it so?
Next steps, yeah, highway would order the signs, change them,
Okay.
and then we would begin a warning enforcement period.
Okay. Joyce, will you notify Public Works, please? Thank you. All right. Motion to go into non-public, as per 91A, what was it?
That was the adversely affected.
What's the number? C. No, I don't try to.
Second.
I know the language, I just don't.
Yes.
St. John, yes.
memorize it.
Yes.
Johnson,
Move it
yes.
along.
Scanlon, yes.
Yes, keep doing that too. It's helpful. Very helpful.
We are red is on time, 7:17.
Motion to seal the non-public minutes as pertains to personnel permanently.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
St. John, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Town administrator. 45 minutes late. Sorry. Woohoo.
Is it my turn?
Yes, please. Done everything else. What time did I open the non-public? Has that been an hour? Almost. 7:30 we'll close it, want to be certain. To be an hour.
The first one or the second one? You mean the public hearing?
The public hearing, what did I say?
Non-public. Public hearing was 6:15.
It should have been a public it's a public meeting, that's
Public
how it was
meeting.
announced. Public
Public meeting,
hearing,
yeah.
because it takes too many days.
So did you want to close it?
Now I'll wait a few more minutes. Oh, what time was it?
6:15.
Okay, at this time, I will close the public meeting on the discussion to reduce the speed limit on Autumn Drive. Especially since we already voted on it.
Gail, did I give them copies of my agenda to give them?
They should be in their
Okay.
folder, yes.
All right, so we'll do warrant articles?
I have town administrator agenda items for December 14th, 2017. Is that what I'm looking for?
Yep, so warrant articles was first, now I got these phones.
Did Dari see the petition warrant article?
Yes, he did. He has a copy of it.
And you have it in your FYI.
I saw it. Thank you.
All right, so you've got a copy of that in your folder. And attached to this draft number 2 is the solar exemption. Now, there's been no petition. We've talked about it the last couple years. Lauren's going to be here tomorrow, so I'll go over with her on the New Hampshire, solar garden and the solar exemption, and I'm just going to write down verbatim what her thoughts are. I don't know when she can come and meet with the board. In the evening, her schedule's been rearranged because she had surgery. But I'll get as much information as I can from her tomorrow.
Sure, right?
Okay, the next item has to do with budget committee membership. That should be the next thing after solar. And I'll give you a little history. In 1972,
The town meeting adopted a 6 members elected at large budget committee and 1 selectman for a total of 7 members. In 1993, the Municipal Budget Act passed, which replaced the old RSA 32. 1972, right. So I'm assuming that the town was operating under the old RSA 32. So when that went into effect, membership was supposed to be 3 to 12 at-large members for 3-year staggered terms, 1 selectman plus an alternate, and 1 Lochmere Village Water District plus an alternate. So our budget committee currently has 8 members. We checked with the state to make sure that even though we didn't formally adopt the Municipal Budget Act, they said, no, you are a Municipal Budget Act town. And she gave me a copy of the statute that said,
And that's how the district became a district, because they never formally did, and they said because we were acting as such, then they will be such. And the selectmen in each town had to recognize the fire district.
Water District.
No, it was the fire district.
Say again?
The fire district was a precinct. It started as a precinct.
Right.
And Tilton was only partly in the district, and then the rest of Tilton went into the district. Well, they never formally became a district.
Right.
And when I was early on a selectman, a letter came to us from Charlie Chandler,
Yeah.
because they had gotten an attorney who said, because they've been acting as a district,
Yep.
they are a district, and they just nearly had a letter from
Yep. Northfield.
Tilton and Northfield to say, we recognize you as a district.
Right.
So it's very similar to what DRA is saying.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so right now we have an 8-member budget committee. And the members at large are elected Wayne Brock, 2018, Arthur Damas, 2018, Stephen Decato, 2019, Christine Dembinski, 2019, Jane Alden, 2020, and there's a vacancy. And we have John Scanlon as the selectman's ex officio, and the alternate's Pat Constantino, and Joe Jessamine as the Lochmere Water District, and I don't know if there's an alternate or not. So I recommend that the selectmen submit a warrant article to reduce the number of elected members at large from 6 to 5. And then that way there will be a 7-member budget committee instead of 8.
Well, why not increase it to 9?
Or you can increase it to 9.
I'd rather increase than decrease.
The problem is that if we can't get enough people to be on boards as it is, and then we can't get a majority in a quorum, which
Yeah.
makes them ineffective.
I agree.
Yes.
That's I think it should be 3.
I didn't want to say anything.
Oh, I think the more the merrier on the budget committee, but I think...
In theory, yes, but the way it's been working, you can't get people to volunteer to be on it, so.
Exactly.
Well, they don't volunteer, they're elected.
Well, even to
They're
volunteer to
elected
elect, to spend the
officials.
time.
And they should take that responsibility as elected officials, not as volunteers. I mean, the Board of Selectmen, here we are, every Thursday night.
We can't get them to put their name on the ballot, no less show up.
And Cindy spends the
They
next
haven't
day
had
after
a quorum
elections.
to hold meetings in the last few weeks, so.
Well, then that's irresponsible of those.
Had a quorum.
Well, most of these are appointed
Yeah.
anyway, they weren't elected, or current.
Well, once the change goes into effect, if this is voted, it goes into effect the following year. So I gave you copies of all the statutes and underlined the pertinent sections.
Did you have a proposed warrant article?
I'd have to do it with the statute says, which is to,
Right. Okay, so really what you need to know from us is to decrease or increase. Is that right?
yes, so I'm recommending that you decrease 1.
Selectmen?
Decrease.
Well, I think it takes
As
a
long as
motion.
we've got the one from Lochmere, yes.
Yes.
I can make that a motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to decrease the number of members on the budget committee by 1, or to have a warrant article
Yes, what it will say is instead of 6 members at large, there will be 5 elected members at large. That's.
Which would make us a 7-member budget committee instead of 8. Okay, does
So
everybody
5
understand
members at
that?
large instead of 6.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion on the motion on the table? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Absolutely me.
Okay. Okay.
Hang on, so it was 4-1?
It's 4-1, motion carries. Let the record show.
All right.
I said no.
Okay, the next 2 are ones that Daria and I had been kicking around, because we're always thinking about what we can do to help revitalize our Main Street and increase our commercial development in town. And there has been one on the books for quite a while, since 2006, which is Chapter 79E, Community Revitalization Tax Relief Incentive. And there are a number of communities that have been using this. And I can get you sample agreements.
Isn't Laconia talking about that now?
Yeah, and also Wolfboro has them. They use it regularly. And if you're interested, I can pull together all the information from other towns. It doesn't mean you have to approve an application if it comes in, but at least it's just a tool.
Could you get us that information?
Yep.
Is everybody okay with that?
Please.
It's just a tool.
Thank
And then
you.
the other one just passed in August of this year,
Where?
7281.
Oh, the RSA just
The
passed.
RSA
I thought
just
you meant
passed.
it. Okay.
So, and this one is, there are a number of communities in the state that are putting it on their warrants this year. And what my feeling is, for something like this, maybe we could wait a year and let's see how these other towns.
Which one's what?
7281. This is where you give a property tax exemption.
Why don't you give us the opportunity to read it? And is there any information available besides the RSA?
All we have is the RSA.
Okay. Is everybody comfortable with that we read through these next week? You'll have some on the 79E:11.
I'd like, if there's any additional information on if there's a way that we could reduce property tax to a business that employs a specific percentage of Tilton employees.
Okay, that would have to be.
That's pretty funny.
I think that's great.
That's almost discrimination.
No, other cities do it.
They do, but
If you go and open your business in town, and for every percent of town employees that you employ, we can give you a tax break at 1% or
Okay.
2%.
well, what
I'd
I.
like information on that. That's what I'm
Okay.
asking.
Didn't you bother?
No, I think it's great too. I'm just sorry.
Didn't you bother do that with Tangle?
No.
Well, RSA 72 has
They make promises, but not.
a chapter in there. It says specifically who can get tax exemptions. And there's a gazillion sections to it. So if we were going to do something like that,
That's what we find.
you know, it would have to go into those statutes, and only the state could let us do that. Like it's the state that allows us to offer commercial entities certain kinds of tax exemptions, incentives. One's an incentive that is just can last, the maximum it can last, I think, is 5 years. Whereas this one is like a straight exemption. Both of these two, I know that this one would have to be on the official ballot. This one I don't know. I haven't researched it enough.
All right, you're gonna get us some information.
We still have time.
These next 3, has Brock looked at these amounts?
These were the amounts that I took from your budget.
But has Brock looked at them? Because they have to do with his highway equipment capital and the roads, bridges,
You mean the amount or the language?
the amount.
Amounts.
I would assume he has, that because he's gone over his budget with Tim.
These aren't in his budget.
Not in his budget.
Right, but he's put together his equipment plan based upon these amounts going in.
But he also came in and said, "Hey, I'm not gonna have to buy any equipment, it'll just be a pickup truck in like 3 or 4 years." I'm just asking, has he reviewed these? And are these sufficient for the programs he has for the town's roads, bridges, and sidewalks?
Not with me, let me say, not with
Okay,
me.
could you make sure
Yeah.
that he's
So I'll
comfortable
check
with these
with him.
amounts? And the third one, he doesn't have to look at, that's Avatar, isn't it? We're down to revale?
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with that? Because I know these figures have been floating around for months.
Yeah.
What I don't see in here is the keynote.
Oh, I've got that. I do have that. I didn't put it in there, but I do have that information. In fact, I was going to, I talked with them, and we can have, Cammie is her name. She works for the executive director. Their staff is going out, and they specifically want to meet with boards of selectmen. And they were very excited when I said, well, we videotape our meetings so we can get the word out. So they would love to come, and I couldn't give them a date until I spoke with you. But the earliest they could do it would be that first Thursday in January. And if they could come early. And if you do decide to put it on your warrant, you do have to have a public hearing on it.
So we better have them in the first week of January if we're even going to consider it.
Right.
What does everybody think?
Get her done.
I think we should consider it if it's
Yeah.
education.
Okay.
Kindergarten.
I'm 100% against it, but I think we should have them here and
Yep.
give us total information so we make an informed decision.
I'd like,
I'm the same place that John's at. I'm totally against it too, but I agree. Let's get some
There might
information.
be some redeeming thing.
I'm neither against it or for it, but I think that we should think about at least putting it in as a warrant and let the legislative body decide.
Right. Now, and that's what's interesting, the way they wrote this law is that the selectmen can put it in if you want. You don't have to put it in. But if it comes in as a petition,
Right.
you have to put it in.
That's fine.
It's also interesting that you really don't get to see a lot of the benefit from it until beginning in fiscal year 2020. And it's only paying half.
Who collects
So
the
it's,
money?
I think the devil's in the details, so I think it will be good to look at. It's just a real simple question. And if the board wants to put it on the official ballot, you can.
Let's find out how
And
the
if you want to do it at
mechanics
town
work.
meeting, you can.
Because this is kind of like the lottery.
Right.
And the promises that were made with the lottery, but, I remember one of our governors saying that the municipalities weren't responsible enough to handle that money.
And if you don't mind that I wrote all over this, I'll
That's true. I heard that with my own ears, and then I read it.
We're the most responsible.
Saying. I'm a little
I
surprised.
think, I would like to hear what she has to, the mechanics of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's what we expressed to Joe
Yes,
Kenny.
yes. And we'll do that. Okay, so,
Where's the milfoil?
yep, and you increase that to 2,000.
Can I ask a question? We're not deciding if these are actually going to be the warrant articles right now.
No.
No, they're just
We're
drafts.
doing them.
They're just drafts.
And, okay.
Possible.
All right. Anybody have any questions on these proposed warrant articles?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Joyce, for doing that.
I had a chance to talk to my coworkers about revamping our decision for rearranging things downstairs. I did not talk with Heather yet. We did get the written estimate from Belanger, and he can go ahead and do that work. He said, so if you could sign that so we can encumber the
I think it is.
funds, okay. He said he could try and get to that right after Christmas. If not, it would be after the first of the year. Okay. So what we were thinking is to, and I know what one of the comments is going to be from the board, because we had talked about it before, is moving all of the computer equipment and all of the assessing files into the Lander's office. We'll have 2 doors there, but instead of regular standard locks, I think we want to get the buttons, or maybe it'd even be cheaper just to slide a fob or something to get in and out. There'll be more room in there for the equipment, more room for files, room to spread things out, so when you're, someone, like today, there were 4 of us in there. Poor Sheena was trying to do filing and her copying. I'm in there putting my stuff in, she's copying hers, and unbeknownst to us, Tim's sending stuff to the Conica. And so we're like, it just, or if someone's doing a mailing and doing things, it's just, it isn't enough room. And then, so move that into land use, and then make the IT, the old, where the old copy room is. Tim said it's workable. He would prefer to have it be central to the building, but you're just a few feet away on the
So
side
you're
of the
going to
building.
put all, you moved him into the copy room?
No, Tim stays in his office,
And what are you doing with the copy room? Putting all the IT equipment in it?
making that the IT.
That would make sense because you have this almost pipeline
Yep.
to go up and down.
So all we're doing is just adding a door
And you're moving the copy room into the land use.
in the land use. All that, everything that's in that room now would go into land use.
You put Tim in the copy room.
No, Tim stays where he
We're
is.
flopping the copy room into land use and IT into the copy room.
Can I ask why we need that much room for IT?
The copy room? Isn't he planning on putting the server in there?
Yeah.
All his equipment, all the
Do you realize
servers.
how big that stuff is? It says the refrigerator.
In the copy room?
That's,
Yes, but he has,
It's
he's also,
I know, you should see everything.
he's also talking about storing the
Computers.
computers that,
Computers and things, and
will
having
go out.
space to work on them.
yes. Oh, yes.
Look, have you looked in his closet? Have you looked out in the back hallway?
That's why she said the IT room.
here's another thing that I think that would be,
That would be the cheapest way to go.
Right, you just have to maybe put some outlets in that room, because I don't think we have enough outlets in that room,
That
but
would be easy.
we have access to it, and also a lot of wiring, but he's gonna take care of all the wiring.
John?
one of the things, that, I think that we should consider is the wall that Tim faces,
Mhm.
where, in his little room, that if that wall came out 3-4 feet towards the door, would enlarge in that office, which is already probably allow him to work, have space to work on things and that. Have the door from the side come in, remove the alarm panel from there, that can be moved, and then have that come in and have just part of the land use office as where servers and other electronics are. And the reason is you always put servers, things like that, centrally, because your wire runs, you don't want every wire run to go to the other end of the building. You want all wire runs to be the shortest possible, and the shortest possible is by having them in the middle, so everything is
Right, I said
short
that.
that way, and you go right into that ceiling there. And I'd like to at least everybody think about that and look at some possibilities for that, so Tim would end up with a bigger office, because even if we do all this stuff, he's like this,
Well, then
he's a
I'd
desk
have-
back, and he's like this.
I'd have to cancel this, I don't know if he's ordered the door already.
He has ordered the door.
He has ordered the door?
You could
Well,
still use the door.
Yeah, the
and stuff
door
like that,
would still be a good idea to have two in and outs in that room, but,
Where are you
If
gonna
you-
move all the fire panel?
well, I mean, I'm back to what you just suggested, because this is the cheapest way. We're just moving equipment. You already have the runs. This lift is where they've run everything from upstairs up. So it's not that much further from the, to move, things from one side to the other.
Yeah.
You gain more room. That copy room, if somebody else is in it,
Yeah, you can't.
I
work
don't go in,
that.
I wait.
Right.
no, it's okay, I don't mind. I sit at the table and I wait, so I can do my
Right, but
postage.
both rooms would have to be secure.
Right, absolutely. Tim's office, once we got all that stored equipment out of it,
And also got rid of
and
that
got rid
big
of
desk.
the big desk that he doesn't use half of except to store his
Yeah.
equipment on, he would have more room.
Yep.
Possibly moving that wall out in the future is the thing, but I'm all for less money. And less money is just swapping equipment.
It still doesn't help the welfare office moving.
The welfare office biggest complaint is heat in the summer. Now, our air conditioning system has got to be antiquated. And if we got estimates to find out what it would cost to hook that office in, would give her relief from the heat in the summer, which is mostly the complaint.
Well, the other thing is you could just get somebody to come in and knock through that brick and put one in the,
You could do that, but she'd be far better off with our system, and our system should be hooked
Deducting
in
the
for
ceiling.
its.
okay, let me just say
Antique.
that we're both in the far corner offices. I'm on the end of the line of that thing. I get no,
That's why I'm saying it's
conditioning and-
antiquated. We may be looking at a time where we need to update it. I mean, I remember coming in and seeing it all frozen out there. It just,
It's
you know.
frozen because it wasn't maintained properly. That's when they freeze up, because you don't
I
clean the
talked to the
coils.
guy when he was fixing it after that too. And that was a number of years ago. I'm just saying, we can give her relief in that way. And that is the cheapest way. I like your proposal, it is cheap.
so what do you think, guys?
I think they should take a look at my suggestion that I had, and I can tell you, you're not allowed to run wiring inside an elevator shaft, that's illegal.
It's not
It's
an
not
elevator
in the
shaft.
elevator shaft, it's
It's
in
in
the
the
wall that houses the elevator shaft.
What does Tim think of that proposal?
This? Yep, he's fine with it. Gail's fine with it, I'm fine with it.
And he has IT is fine knowing the cabling.
As I said, the only thing was he would prefer, it's really to do it central, but he doesn't have a problem with it going. I mean, it's not that great of a distance.
Okay.
And I talked to him late last night and today, and he said he hadn't even thought about moving that wall, what a great idea it would be. So I think if we could wait a couple, you know, if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
It just,
Well, we've been discussing this for 6 months.
No, you guys have, I came up with an idea, and it's always, no.
No, I just said moving his
wall.
wall out is something we could do anytime.
what I don't like about this is you'll talk to Tim and you'll get an idea from Tim, and then you'll come up and you'll give us an idea, and then you'll give us an idea, and all three of you have different ideas, and we could go on for 3 more months and not make a decision on this. That's so frustrating to me. Why don't the 3 of you get together and come up with the plan and then come to the board and not waste our time the next time?
Oh my
We could
God.
be on here for an
I
hour.
didn't, you know, this
3
is,
months.
this is new
We
information.
have a plan in front of us that doesn't cost anything. Just moving equipment from one room to
But
the
we're
other.
not too sure about, because she just said Tim would prefer a central place, and then he just came up with a total different plan.
The plan included a central
Which
place
said
and made Tim's
Tim
space
likes
bigger.
Can we have
plan.
Tim here next week?
See?
Yeah, but it doesn't help us solve our
Space
space needs.
problem. No, and this solves the
It solves
space
him
needs.
moving out a little bit so he can get more of the
Right.
It
window.
solves the IT thing.
No, it
I
doesn't.
agree. I agree. But
This is
it
the
doesn't
best
help with the,
And he gets the computer equipment
She
out of
just
there,
said
and gets
Tim
the
was
desk,
on board
well,
with
they,
this.
yeah.
We were just told that Tim is on board with this
Yeah.
idea.
Oh, Tim.
He said he didn't have a problem with it, and that was the only concern,
that's
but
what
he says
Tim
it's
says,
okay,
he's
you
on
know,
board
we'll,
with it, but he says he's not on board with it. I don't know.
No, he didn't say he wasn't on board with it.
He said he liked his idea.
He said, that's interesting, I never even looked at that.
Okay, let's have Tim here next week.
I'm so
It seems to be
confused
the
right
missing thing.
okay, well,
When I hear
we're
things
putting
that
a
don't cost
door,
money.
no
you
matter
guys
what
say
goes in
so
there,
happy.
it's gonna be,
Let's
we'll
move
have a
on.
door,
Move
okay.
on. I don't think we're gonna be, this is kind of like. a
Okay,
truth.
oh God, this, you guys are gonna like this one. I'm like, the adjutant, I mean, it's just.
No, Joyce, I thought it was a great idea.
No, I'm talking about this.
Leave this, all right.
This is, oh, you have it, your chief, you're a public safety kind of guy. Tell me what you think.
All right.
Board, do you want to go into non-public about this? We just got it, I haven't even read it.
Because there's a lot more than meets the eye on this one, and the other selectmen have no clue
Okay.
about it. Then we get into personality and conflicts.
Okay, let's read it. a couple weeks ago, wasn't it, Trace?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we should go non-public. Based on,
I can say that B and C is what we currently do.
Where, are we gonna go into non-public or?
Selectmen, what's your preference?
Make a motion, we go into non-public.
Yes, that's easy.
Say 91A colon 3 personnel.
Second.
That's A, right?
Clog, yes.
Constantino, yes.
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 I'm gonna say one thing, and I'll keep my mouth shut. Everybody has to accept some responsibility. That's all I'm gonna say. 99.99% do.
Chat.
We are red is on, time 8:10.
Motion to seal minutes of non-public session, obtain personnel permanently.
Second. Clog, yes.
Yes.
Constantino, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Okay, what I'm passing around is you were here last week, weren't you? Yes, and I had an abatement where we recalculated the timber tax due, and I didn't know if he had paid it or not. So if they paid it, it's a refund. If they haven't paid it, it's an abatement. So I checked with Cindy, he paid it, I've got the proof there that he paid it, so it is a refund. Okay, the second thing, I just got a few things. We need to have a motion, see right now, we've got three things going on with the planning board. The planning board denied the planning board approved Autumn Drive, which is an adult care facility. Residents in the area got an attorney, and they filed an appeal to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. The only thing that can be acted upon in an appeal with the Zoning Board of Adjustment is they have to show that the planning board did something wrong. Okay? The zoning board met and they said, we're not going to have a hearing because they didn't give us enough good evidence that the planning board did anything wrong. So the zoning board denied it. Simultaneously with that action, the residents went ahead and filed an appeal with the Belknap County Superior Court, which they have the right to do. You could do BTLA and Superior Court. So John Radigan has been representing the planning board on the planning board part of it. He represented the zoning board on the appeal part of it, the planning board decision. And now you have to have an attorney that represents the town in this same case before the Superior Court. So we just want to make sure that, and so when we're getting sued, it says Town of Tilton on it, and the zoning board and the planning board. So I would feel more comfortable if the board would to make another motion that John Radigan is the town's attorney on all matters pertaining to the town, the Tilton Zoning Board, and the Tilton Planning Board.
So moved.
So seconded.
Aye.
Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain, yeah. Yep,
Opposed.
opposed, thank you. Abstain. Motion carries, thank you.
This wasn't on the agenda, but it's been on my agenda for quite some time. And what kicked me into gear was, this is Caleb Hill Road. Because there's residents on Caleb Hill Road that want to have the natural gas line installed when the road's being.
And they're talking about water.
Yeah,
Oh, they're talking about water?
too, yeah.
But no sewer.
They want water notified to see if
We've
they're.
got sewer, 4 houses down both sides. One's a public line, one's a private.
Okay.
So would you contact the water department and see if there's any interest in running a line up through?
Yes, and I have the name of the person with the gas company to keep them informed. But the
Good.
first step is, and, because Ashley, you're new, I did print out a whole stack of documents. This is a joint state and town project. State pays 80%, town pays 20%. The state, because they're using the bulk of their money, they have a whole separate procedure you have to go to hire the engineer. And it's not an RFP, it's called a request for qualifications. So you have to put out with this verbiage, this is what they want. We'll send it out. I've got a whole list of construction engineering firms. And then based upon the response, you look, because there's no talk of any money.
So we pick them on qualifications, not price. There goes your price.
No, because then once you look at those, you call your 3 top firms in, you interview them, and you pick the one that you like, and you say, okay, bring us back the proposal. At that time, I'll have a spreadsheet all listed out with all the different components to make sure that we know exactly what they're bidding on. You sit down, you negotiate, you can't come to terms, sorry, thank you, it's just too much money, then you go to the next one, you do the same thing.
Nice.
So we'll
don't like
delay
them?
the process as opposed to saying, give us a price to do the work. They give us the price, you go through it.
But
No,
you don't
with
know the qualifications, though.
Yeah, but you could pick out 3
yes,
with
but
qualifications and with prices, Peter's
state
right.
has a
The problem
list
Oh, I
is,
know. I
the
think
state is the state is the
It's
state.
the state
And
is
if you
the
want to
state
go
is the
forward with
state.
the
And the state
project,
has a list of pre-qualified, so I don't know. It's
yeah,
Of
they don't have
engineers.
a choice.
Huh?
Plus, what's time consuming is that you have to go through, first you go through the preliminary design, and then you have to wait and get the state to sign off on it. And then you can go on to
You
the
may
final
want to add a
design.
couple of years to your start date.
No, we can do it. Because the way that the state is doling out the money, and I explained this to one of the residents that had called, why is this taking so long? And I said, we'd explain to the residents, this is going to be a 3-year project. I mean, we could have gone out right after town meeting in 2014
Yeah. We could have done it.
and just gone and borrowed money.
Right, and wait for the state to pay us whenever they
And wait for
decide.
the state to pay us. And what they did is they explained when we signed the agreement is that they're going to dole it out to us. And so the first time they're going to have the money is in their fiscal year 2019. So it's our calendar year 2018. Okay? And with that, with the amount that they budgeted, they will reimburse you right away. So we don't have to borrow for the engineering part of it. But when you get into the construction part, which won't be until the end of, when they have money available, and they were spreading that over 2019 and 2020.
Yes, they were.
So,
Which you may want to do if you're looking to put water or gas in, because you've got to get that in and out ahead of time.
right, but our project isn't paying for that.
No, I understand. No, but if that's going to be done, that's going to delay our start. If they're
Yeah,
going to
what's
come in and
Peter's
put...
saying,
Oh,
those
well,
would
not
go
if I,
forward and wait for the road. Because they're gonna tear up the road bed, and we would be poised and ready to go when they're done. I
Right.
sure as hell don't want to.
oh, no, I
I
know.
want to do a joint
Right.
project.
I know,
I've
but
already experienced
this,
that.
I know, but we've got time to do that. This is a good schedule to do that.
Yeah.
But we gotta start now, so
I agree.
January 1.
I
So
think
I
this
just
is
want you
good.
to tell me when, I looked at some samples that CR had sent me from other towns that have done this.
What's a
And-
reasonable time frame for them to get it back to you?
That's what I sent him an email and let him, with a bunch of questions, hopefully. I'll get
30
to him.
days.
Oh, I'd say, because all they're giving you is their qualifications.
So-
And they've got that stuff already made
So
up.
15 days,
Okay.
I would say.
And then we just have to be on top of
Take the
this.
one that's black and white, not all real
No
glossy,
delays.
spiral bound.
Because I want to have all the design done, the bids out,
Yeah.
and be ready for spring 2019
The only thing that would
construction.
delay us here is the state itself. I don't
So
see
is that
any
it?
reason why.
That's all you needed?
Yeah, just go for it.
I'd like to bring the acceptance of the donation to the table for discussion, so we can keep moving, because I gotta get out of here.
Okay, all right. That's it, that's all.
All right, I make a motion, we accept the donation from the Tilton Northfield Rotary Foundation to the Tilton Senior Center for $400.
Second?
Thank you, Tilton
Any
Northfield
discussion?
Rotary
Very much.
Foundation.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye. I have one thing.
Those are quick fingers.
One thing.
And that went up quick.
Did anyone notice the tree cutting of the Civil War monument today?
Nope.
The what?
Who cut the trees?
Top-notch tree did Main Street. I thought it was the Parks Commission that hired them to do
No?
tree cutting in the monument, big trees. We were in traffic with, on the bus, and I was watching them cut it severely, and I thought it was the town that had contracted. Of course, I can't use my cell phone, but they really did cut it a lot, and then they moved further down, all the way down to Tilton Trailer. Along that road, they cut a lot of
That's for power
branches
lines?
and stuff. There's no power lines on that side.
State road.
Civil War,
Why did
didn't
they
we
cut
have
it?
tree work we needed to do, Catherine? We
But
had
I'm
talked
telling
about,
you, they-
yeah, but it was crane work, so they may have done some of the work that we were looking to do.
I thought that was already done.
Did we do it all?
We already
This
did
tree
it
is
all.
like, take a look at it in the morning, that's all I got to say.
We did it all.
Okay,
Bet needs to go out and take a look at it.
okay.
This is
You
my,
might wanna
this is my last
Just cut
thing.
the whole thing down now.
You don't have to act on this tonight. I'm just giving to you, this is confidential. The committee was going to meet next Monday night. I'm not gonna be available next Monday night.
So we're gonna put it off.
Put it off, and that gives you time to look at this. I just
Yes.
wanna show you this is all confidential. They had started out with more properties than this.
Oh my God, yes.
And it
they
was
did.
two meetings where the last meeting, and I wish you'd been there, it was a really good meeting. They narrowed it down to the ones that are highlighted. And they don't, and I also went over with them Gary's email that I just gave you tonight. And their feeling is they wouldn't feel comfortable approving a schematic design right now, not knowing what the site was going to be. Right? Because it took them how many meetings to come up with, well, where's the driveway gonna go? Which entrance? They haven't even gotten to the part of what kind of building materials we'd be recommending to the board. Right? That it would just be too premature to do that. But what they would like is for the board to review this, and that the board would, either amongst yourselves or assign Tim and I to contact, I know you've already given us permission for 2 of them, and just contact them and say, is this anything you'd be interested in discussing?
Why do we have to think about that? Why wouldn't we do that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
But
so
what I
it's-
find interesting is 540 Laconia Road, but maybe too far from the
I
center of
wouldn't
town.
say, yeah, I wouldn't say
Okay,
that.
okay. And then you got 2 others further out, so it's,
I know, this was there,
No, I don't either.
okay.
and I double checked with them before I printed this out to give you.
And it was a consensus, it wasn't a vote.
That is correct.
Right.
Well, and we as selectmen certainly could say, no, we'd rather you look at that one anyway.
Right, yes, you can.
I'm not there,
So-
so.
So good.
Does
So-
anybody object to having Joyce and Tim investigate these highlighted properties about their availability?
No, no.
Huh. Guess we know what's going on with that property.
And that's it, I'm done.
I didn't hear any objection.
We don't know that voting, but that's any and all available, or not.
Nobody objects to having Tim
No.
and Joyce make some phone calls, see if they're available.
Anything we can do to
You guys good with that?
And then we'll give them next Monday off. They'll give Tim and I a chance to.
This is, I'm gonna only ask this once. Anybody get anything?
Motion to adjourn. Come on.
Second.
All right.
All in
Aye.
favor? Bye.
In the meantime, if any of you see something on there that you want them to look at.
Oh, we forgot to ask about the abbreviated meeting on the 28th.
Oh. You guys, so,
How did you remember that?
I just thought about it just now.
yeah, abbreviated meeting on the 28th because the planning board needs to meet before the end of the year. And then the meeting next week would be a full meeting. Anybody object?
Opposed to just not having them? So they're not-
We could not have,
Or
we could choose
regular
not
one.
to have one on the 28th.
I think Tim would disagree because there's lots of,
I was
But you've got a lot, it's the end of the month.
Right.
It's not a good time to not have a meeting.
Shoot
Just
for it.
curious what
We have to make the decisions if we're gonna use any monies at
So-
the end.
Does anybody mind having an abbreviated meeting on the 28th?
in other words, be out by 6:30.
Oh, but could we do it for all?
Yeah, no such thing.
Yeah, let's get out.
As long as we don't spend any money, I'll go.
Let's not have,
That's what it is, it's the 11th hour spending
And,
spree.
Northfield.
Mad
Bye,
dash.
John.
yeah, but it's
Got nickel
not.
left.